Hi there, Libra. Welcome to your April 2025 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here on my second channel. If you are familiar with my main channel, Raina Moon Astrology, I will be, I have decided that I will have one series of tarot readings there and then do the rest over here. It is a little bit, that was my original plan, so it is a little bit maybe confusing and all of that, but it really does boil down to that's what I do in my private readings sometimes as well, and I want to have that freedom to show what I do, at least one set over there, but I'm going to devote this channel to more, and who knows, because I've always kind of felt funny about doing many tarot readings on my other channel, and I kind of I was worried that people preferred astrology, so it feels like I feel more free here to do the tarot. So yeah. This is for April. I have the April astrology horoscope available on my Rain and Moon Astrology channel, already up. If you're interested in your astrology, sometimes I talk about those things when I, bring them up here. It's interesting. I this is the I think this is a second sign, and I haven't done all the signs yet, but today that I've gotten the main, focus card has been reversed. And I think because April still contains those retrogrades, your ruler Venus and Mercury, Venus will be until the 12th, which, by the way, is the same day as the full moon in your sign, and Mercury for the first 7 days. So basically what that can indicate is that there are things that are still kind of gelling, that are not kind of up in the air in life, and you still have this settling down where you can't necessarily just automatically, when April comes around, just know exactly what you're going to do. So as a matter of fact, oh Lord. Oh, this is interesting because I'm thinking actually of Jupiter. Okay, so the Three of Wands, I'm going to hold it upright because it's easier to see the image properly, but just remember that it was picked reversed. Three of Wands is a card of expansion. You can see the body of water, and you can see those ships, and that can even be like, some kind of a journey, and the mountains are on the other side, and it's all about expansion. The number 3 is a number of expansion. And Wands, is fire energy, so that's about expansion as well. So it's kind of like the person who is thinking to themselves as they look out on that water, there's so much more to life than this. I need to spread my wings. And, it could be like literally moving to a different country or something like that. And the reason I was thinking of Jupiter is because Jupiter is in Gemini, and that is a fellow air sign, and that's the air sign before you. So it's actually in your 9th house. Theoretically, everybody's chart is going to be different when that's going to be true. And that means that it can be that that's Jupiter's domain in astrology. So you may be really feeling that, but because it's reversed, it still may not be fully formed. You might be having the feeling, but you don't know exactly. Like maybe you think, gosh, I really want to travel somewhere. I want to live in a different country. I don't want to live in my country for whatever reason. And yet I don't know exactly where I want to go. And I think in those situations, it might be that you explore. Like if you think to yourself, I want to live in Europe, but I don't know which country, you might, take a trip to different countries in Europe. Now, of course, that also involves having the money to do it and all of that stuff. So it all has to come together. But it's just that desire, and that's kind of like the focal point. But it can be, this card in the reverse position can be that you refuse to expand, like you're just kind of staying in that comfort zone for whatever reason. In the past position, we have the Strength card, and this is connected to the sign of Leo. It's also about building yourself up. It could be recuperating from an illness. And so maybe in that sense, if that's a literal thing that has happened to you and you're getting better, you might feel like, I'm not ready to travel yet, but I am thinking about it and I do want to. And even like on the emotional level, the psychological level, if you have been through a lot for some reason and now you're starting to feel better, you may realize that you are deserving of more, but you're not quite at the level where you can just completely go out and go for it, because you know that you still have more healing to do, or you have there's just more that you're on the path but you're not quite there. The higher message, now that's very interesting because it's kind of what I was saying, is the Seven of Cups. And this can be a card of wishful thinking. I don't really like that term because I like the idea of wishful thinking, of really wishing for what you're thinking about or thinking about what you wish for. But it's like kind of that delusional thinking, like uh, thinking about things that really aren't really realistic, or you've already been shown, like let's say it's a person that you really felt like you could be with, and it turns out that they're just not the person for you, and yet you're hoping that they'll change. So it's kind of on the delusional. I mean, this card is connected to Neptune, which is a ruler of Pisces, so it's that delusional kind of attitude. Or it can just be confusion. Like I was saying before, I want to do this thing, I want to experience this growth and this expansion, but I don't know exactly how. And I see that a lot, like for instance, when I sign up for these uh, they're free, but they're also a funnel, like change your life, quit your day job, those kinds of things. I like to sign up for those things. And a lot of people, they express this thing of like, oh yeah, I'm so unhappy in my day job. And so they know what they're feeling is unhappiness, but they don't even know what they would want to do instead. And so it creates a problem because you have to have a vision. You can't just be, knowing what you don't want. But it is the first step to know what you don't want. So it's not anything to just like discard or dismiss. It is important, but then you have to know what you do want. And it kind of amazes me. I actually say to people, I just said to somebody recently, I said, you know what? I don't really believe that you don't know what you want. I think you don't think you can have it. You don't think, somebody told you you couldn't do it, or you don't think you can do it. And I think that person might have agreed with me. I can't remember. But I think a lot of times it's almost like a game we play with ourselves, that I don't know what I want. I could see a Libra person doing that because they haven't given themselves permission to actually, imagine that it was possible. And I think a lot of Libra people are very talented and could do what they think that they can't do, but they might second guess themselves. And oh wow, I didn't expect this to be the challenge card. The challenge is the Two of Cups, so that kind of takes it in a new direction. Well, actually, because I was joking with myself, I was thinking this might be about some romantic situation, which it could certainly be, but just without having it to be that. I would say with the Two of Cups, it can be being like, what's that? Being of, there's a saying, being of two minds, but there can be the equivalent of having your heart kind of like torn in two directions or tugged in two directions. And maybe feeling like a part of you is like wanting one thing and a part of you is wanting another thing. I think that's possible. I really do. I don't think that, everyone just has one thing that they want to do. And that makes it difficult because sometimes you're too expansive where you know, you're like you have to narrow things down a little bit. And also with relationships, this can be a card of not being able to commit, or maybe somebody else can't commit and you can't let go of that person that can't commit. It could be something like that you're not willing to let that go. In that case, this is your card the energy coming in. The Justice card is about, maybe this is all, maybe this all has to do with like a romantic situation for some of you. I guess part of the reason I'm laughing is because I automatically assume when I'm doing a reading for Libra that it's going to involve a romantic relationship. So this happened to be one time when I was talking about something completely different. And then when I got the Two of Cups, I'm like, oh, maybe it has something to do with that. Well, if I go down that route, this would be probably, if you're married, that you would be getting a divorce or, seeking that justice, or that you demand fairness. This is your card in the tarot, the Justice card. Actually, it's very interesting because in this particular deck, they number it as 11. Some of the decks number it 8 and some number it 11. I really have not studied the history of the tarot and how it evolved, but I find that very interesting. What's interesting? The Strength card and the Justice card, they, sometimes they're the ones that switch the numbers. And so I guess sometimes the Justice card is number 8 and the Strength card is number 11. Okay. And the outcome, the King of Wands. So this is definitely alpha male energy, even if you're a woman, it's like this idea of being self-actualized, meaning that you're or self-motivated, but that's not really what I mean. And I mean something much more like self-reliant and stepping into your own power is what I usually say with that card. So if this is something with like, okay, here's an example. Let's say your career or your job. I think a lot of times a job is like this, where it's not so much a career, something that you have invested in. It's something that may have just like kind of come into your life and you just did it, or you just applied for a job somewhere and you just did it, and you were able to pay your bills, but you're not really feeling that sense of growth and you really want something else. And the Strength card is like showing that you believe more in yourself than you did before. The Two of Cups can be about, to me, commitment, but not to a person, but to a thing or to an idea. Being able to really go all in and commit to something. I think that definitely, and I obviously, I didn't make this up. I mean, I've read this, is that Libra tends to be a very indecisive sign. And I think the reason that Libra is indecisive is that you can see all sides of an issue. So it's like everything seems possible and everything can seem like it won't work out. I mean, you can see all sides. And so it's very hard to nail that down. And yet only you know if you're actually growing. And that, you know, I remember Abraham Hicks saying that the purpose, the whole meaning of life is expansion, which means growth. And that's obviously just one opinion, but I resonate with that. And I think that growth isn't always just making more money necessarily. Sometimes it can be that you experience a different way of living by living in a different country, like the Three of Wands can represent. And that can be like incredibly stimulating and provide a whole new perspective on your life. And and yet it can sometimes people, they doubt whether they have what it takes to do something that dramatic. But the King of Wands is really about that. It's really about taking charge of your own life and being able to decide for yourself. There's a very resourceful quality to this card and a very like a very independent quality. So anyway, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, be it tarot, astrology, or both, you can click the link below to find out about my package deals and my individual readings. Thanks for watching. Take care.